The Grand Hall of the Galactic Military Academy could hold 5,000 beings, and today every seat was filled. Cadets from hundreds of worlds sat in neat rows, their uniforms marking them as the future of the galaxy's defense forces. Some had scales, some had fur, some had skin like humans, but they all wore the same expression now: anticipation. At the front of the hall, Instructor Cuven stood before a massive holographic display. The old Vexian had fought in more wars than most cadets had years of life. His forearms gestured as he spoke, his voice carrying easily through the silent space. "Today we will watch something special," Cuven said, a battle recording from the Outer Rim War. This footage was classified until last month. What you are about to see is real. Every moment of it happened exactly as shown. The lights dimmed. The holographic display flickered to life. The recording showed a mining station, the kind that dotted the frontier colonies. Dark metal corridors, emergency lighting casting red shadows. The timestamp in the corner showed the battle lasted 6 hours, but the recording was edited to show the important parts. A figure appeared on screen. Human, wearing standard combat armor that was already damaged. The helmet had a crack across the visor. Through it, cadets could see a young face. Very young, maybe 19 or 20 years old at most. The situation was simple. Cuven narrated as the recording played. Enemy forces attacked this mining station. 300 civilians needed evacuation. The defense force was killed in the first attack. This soldier was the only one left. The nearest help was 6 hours away. On screen, the young human checked a rifle, then moved into position at a corridor junction. The way the soldier moved made several combat instructors lean forward in their seats. Efficient, no wasted motion. Every step had purpose. The first enemy forces appeared. They were Krell warriors, each one twice the size of a human, with natural armor plating and forearms built for killing. They moved in a standard assault formation, expecting minimal resistance. They were wrong. The human opened fire. 3 Krell dropped before they could react. The others scrambled for cover, confused. The human was already moving, changing position before they could return fire. Another burst of shots. 2 more enemies down. The cadets in the hall watched with wide eyes. This wasn't how Academy simulations went. This was faster, more brutal, more desperate. The recording jumped forward. 30 minutes into the battle. The human soldier held a different position now, deeper in the station. The armor was more damaged. Blood stained the helmet. But the rifle never stopped. Enemies tried to push through, and the human made them pay for every meter. "Notice the tactics," Captain Vel Rain, a Thoraxian instructor, called out. "The soldier is not trying to win. The soldier is trying to delay. Every position is chosen to maximize the enemy's difficulty while covering the evacuation routes." Ji-Wan, a human medical student sitting in the middle rows, found herself holding her breath. She had never seen combat footage this intense. The soldier on screen fought like someone who knew death was coming, but refused to meet it until the job was done. The recording jumped again. 2 hours in, the soldier had fallen back to a new position. The rifle was gone now, replaced by a pistol and a metal pipe. The armor was barely holding together, but the human still stood, still fought, still bought time for the civilians fleeing to the transport ships. In the back row of the hall, Cadet Hyun Woo sat perfectly still. His hands rested on his knees, but they were trembling slightly. No one around him noticed. All eyes were on the screen, 3 hours into the battle. The soldier was limping now. One arm hung uselessly. The helmet was gone, lost somewhere in the chaos. The young face was clearly visible, covered in blood and ash and determination. The enemy had stopped trying to rush forward. They had learned that lesson in blood. Now they advanced slowly, carefully, because this one human had killed so many of them that they were afraid. "Impossible," someone muttered in the crowd. It was Diramon, a Calthene cadet who sat at the front with the other top students. "This must be enhanced footage." "No one can fight like that for so long," Cuven's voice cut through the hall. "The footage is verified authentic. Every frame. What you are watching is real. 4 hours. The soldier had no rifle, no pistol, no weapons at all anymore. Just hands and desperation and whatever could be grabbed from the environment. A piece of broken metal, a fire extinguisher used as a club, anything, everything. The enemies kept coming. They had to, their orders demanded they take the station. But the human refused to break. When injured, the soldier fought harder. When tired, the soldier found new strength. When all seemed lost, the soldier found a way to hold for one more minute. 5 hours. The soldier collapsed against a wall, breathing hard, covered in wounds. The evacuation alarms were wailing. The last transport was leaving. The civilians were safe. The soldier tried to stand and failed. Tried again, fell again. The eyes on that young, bloodied face were distant now. Shock probably. Blood loss. Exhaustion beyond anything most beings could survive. The enemy forces finally pushed forward, confident now. But they moved carefully even now. The human had taught them to fear. They approached the fallen soldier slowly. The recording showed the soldier's eyes closing. The body slumped. Still breathing, but barely. The recording ended. The grand hall was completely silent. 5,000 cadets sat in stunned quiet, processing what they had just seen. Kevin let the silence hold for a long moment before speaking. The soldier survived. Barely. The rescue force arrived 15 minutes after the last transport left. They found one survivor among hundreds of bodies. The civilians all made it to safety. Every single one, someone started clapping. Then another. Within seconds, the entire hall was applauding. A standing ovation for a soldier who wasn't there to hear it. The soldier's identity remains classified, Kevin continued when the noise died down. But this recording will now be part of our curriculum. Study it, learn from it. This is what it means to be a warrior. Not glory, not honor, sacrifice, duty. Doing what must be done no matter the cost. Diramon stood, his voice loud. With respect, instructor, I find this hard to believe. The soldier looks barely older than us. No cadet could do this. The footage must be altered somehow. Several other cadets murmured agreement. It did seem impossible. That young human fighting like a legend from ancient stories. Captain Velrain stepped forward. Does anyone here recognize the combat style? The techniques used? The hall fell silent again. No one answered. In the back row, Hyunwoo stared at his hands. They had stopped trembling. Now they were just numb, like they had been for months. Since that day, since that station, since everything changed, he said nothing. He had come to this academy to start over, to be just another cadet, to leave that day behind him. His records were sealed, his identity hidden. No one here knew who he was. No one could know. He just wanted to be normal again, to learn and train like everyone else, to not be special, to not be that soldier. But as the hall emptied and cadets argued about whether the recording was real, Hyunwoo remained seated. The lights came back on. The holographic display went dark, but he could still see it. He always could. That corridor, that day, those faces. He closed his eyes and tried to breathe steadily. Just another cadet. That's all he wanted to be. Just another student learning to be a soldier. He hoped it would be enough. He hoped no one would ever know the truth. The hall was empty now. Quiet. Hyunwoo finally stood and walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Behind him, the holographic display remained dark, hiding secrets that would not stay buried much longer. The academy could not stop talking about the recording. In the cafeteria, cadets debated whether it was real. In the training rooms, they tried to copy the moves they had seen. In the classrooms, instructors analyzed every decision the mysterious soldier had made. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone wanted to know who the soldier was. Everyone except Hyunwoo, who wanted the whole thing to disappear. He sat in the back of the tactical theory classroom, taking notes like always. Professor Rentok was explaining defensive positions using examples from the recording. The Vexian instructor froze certain frames, pointing out how the soldier had used the environment perfectly. See here, Rentok said, his forearms gesturing at the hologram. The soldier chose this junction not because it was the strongest position, but because it gave 3 escape routes, always thinking ahead, always planning the next move. Diramon raised his hand. Professor, I still maintain this footage is suspicious. Combat drugs, perhaps? Enhancement surgery? Something explains this. Rentok's eyes narrowed. The footage is verified. The soldier was baseline human. No enhancements, no drugs, just training, will, and necessity. After class, Hyunwoo tried to leave quickly, but Jiwon caught up with him in the hallway. The human medical student had been trying to befriend him for weeks. Hey, wait up, she called. You heading to the training room? Hyunwoo nodded. He trained every night after classes, but always alone, always in the smaller practice rooms where no one went. Mind if I join you? Jiwon asked. I need to practice my combat certifications. He wanted to say no, wanted to keep his distance. But Jiwon had been nothing but kind to him, and refusing would draw attention. Okay. They walked to the training facility together. Jiwon talked about her classes, about the recording, about how amazing it was. Hyunwoo made small noises of agreement but said little. The smaller training room was empty as usual. Jiwon started her practice routines on one side. Hyunwoo went to the other side and began his warm-ups. He was careful, always careful. He moved well enough to pass his classes, but never well enough to stand out. Just another average cadet. Nothing special, nothing worth noticing. But alone, in the middle of the night, he trained the way he really knew how, the way that kept him alive on that station. Fast, brutal, efficient. Tonight he forgot Jiwon was there. He moved through a combat sequence, muscle memory taking over. Strike, pivot, disarm, counter. The movements flowed like water, like breathing, like something carved into his bones by 6 hours of hell. Whoa, Jiwon breathed. Hyunwoo froze. He turned slowly. Jiwon was staring at him, her practice forgotten. Where did you learn to move like that? She asked. His mind raced. Like what? Don't play dumb. That was really advanced. Way beyond cadet level. Hyunwoo forced a casual shrug. Just practicing. Probably looked better than it was. Jiwon studied him for a long moment, then smiled. Well, it looked good. You should show that in class. Velrain would be impressed. I'd rather not, Hyunwoo said quietly. I don't like attention. Something in his voice made Jiwon's smile fade. She nodded slowly. Okay, I get that. Some people just want to learn without all the spotlight. They trained in silence after that. Hyunwoo was more careful now, keeping his movements controlled and average. But he could feel Jiwon's eyes on him occasionally, thoughtful and curious. The next day, tactical simulations began. All cadets participated in teams of 5. They were given scenarios and had to complete objectives against AI opponents. Hyunwoo's team was average. A Zentari strategist named Boram, 2 Thoraxian fighters, and another human named Taeyang. They had lost their first 2 simulations badly. Today's scenario was a hostage rescue. Most teams had tried it and failed. The hostages were in a building surrounded by enemy forces. A direct assault got the hostages killed. A stealth approach got detected too quickly. Boram was their team leader. She studied the scenario, her blue skin darkening with frustration. I don't see a way through. We don't have enough firepower for assault, and we're not trained enough for stealth. What about from above? Hyunwoo said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. He rarely spoke during planning. Above? Boram asked. Hyunwoo pointed at the holographic display. The building has a weak roof here. If we create a distraction at the front, send one person through the roof, they could secure the hostages while the enemy is focused on the distraction. Taeyang frowned. That's risky. The person on the roof would be alone. The distraction doesn't have to succeed, Hyunwoo continued. It just has to be loud and confusing. Make them think we're doing a full assault. They'll commit their forces to the front. That's when the roof team goes in. Boram studied the scenario again, her eyes widening. That could actually work, but we'd need perfect timing. And whoever goes through the roof would need to be really good. I'll go, Hyunwoo said. They ran the simulation. Boram led the distraction team, making a lot of noise at the front entrance. The enemy AI took the bait, sending forces to counter the assault. Hyunwoo dropped through the roof, secured the hostages, and led them out through a side exit while the enemy was still focused on the front. Mission complete. 0 casualties. Fastest time in the class. The instructor, Captain Velrain, studied the results with surprise. Excellent work. Cadet Hyunwoo, that was an unconventional approach. Where did you learn that tactic? Hyunwoo kept his voice neutral. Just seemed logical. Pin their attention one place, hit them somewhere else. Velrain's eyes narrowed slightly. Logical, yes, but also very similar to tactics used in that battle recording we watched. The soldier there used distraction and misdirection constantly. Several cadets looked at Hyunwoo with new interest. He felt his stomach tighten. This was exactly what he had wanted to avoid. Coincidence, sir, Hyunwoo said. Good tactics are good tactics. Boram was watching him carefully. The Zentarii were known for their analytical minds and pattern recognition. Hyunwoo could see her making connections, her eyes moving between him and the simulation results. After class, she approached him. You're from a frontier colony, right? Hyunwoo nodded carefully. Yes, mining colony, Outer Rim. And you transferred here recently. Right around when that battle recording was declassified. His heart was beating faster now. Lots of cadets transfer at the start of term. Boram tilted her head. You're about the right age. The soldier in the recording looked young. 19, maybe 20. You're what, 21? 22, Hyunwoo lied. He was actually 20, would be 21 in 2 months, and you move like someone with real combat experience. Not academy training, real experience. I don't know what you mean, Hyunwoo said, keeping his voice flat. Boram studied him for another moment, then shrugged. Maybe I'm seeing patterns that aren't there. Centauri habit. Sorry. But her eyes said she didn't believe her own words. That evening, Hyunwoo skipped dinner and went straight to the training room. The small one. The empty one. He needed to move to burn off the anxiety crawling under his skin. He was halfway through his routine when the door opened. Lieutenant Craven stood there, a scarred veteran who occasionally guest lectured at the academy. The old warrior watched Hyunwoo for a long moment. Don't stop on my account, Craven said, entering the room. Hyunwoo had already stopped, his body tense. Can I help you, Lieutenant? Craven walked closer, his movements stiff from old injuries. I served in the Outer Rim War, commanded a rescue battalion. We pulled a lot of people out of bad situations. Hyunwoo said nothing. His mouth was dry. I was part of the team that responded to the mining station incident, Craven continued. The one from the recording everyone's talking about. We arrived too late for most of the defenders, found a lot of bodies. Good people who died protecting civilians. Still, Hyunwoo remained silent. But we found one survivor, Craven said softly. Pulled him out of the rubble. Young human, barely breathing. Covered in so much blood I thought he was dead at first. But he was still clutching his rifle, even though it was empty. Even unconscious, he was still trying to fight. Hyunwoo's hands were shaking now. He clenched them into fists, trying to stop it. Craven stepped closer. That soldier had distinctive scars. Burn marks on the left forearm from a plasma discharge, shrapnel damage on the right shoulder. I remember them clearly because I helped the medics treat them. He reached out slowly and tapped Hyunwoo's left forearm, right where a burn scar lay hidden under the uniform sleeve. It was you, Craven said. Not a question. A statement. Hyunwoo's carefully built walls crumbled. He looked away, unable to meet the lieutenant's eyes. Please don't tell anyone. Why? Craven asked. Why hide it? You're a hero. You saved hundreds of lives. I'm not a hero, Hyunwoo said, his voice barely a whisper. Heroes save everyone. I couldn't save the other defenders. I couldn't save the civilians who died in the initial attack. I just held a hallway while they ran. That's not heroic, that's just surviving. Craven was quiet for a moment. Kid, I've been in this uniform for 30 years. I've seen real heroes and fake ones. You're real, whether you believe it or not. I just want to be a normal cadet, Hyunwoo said. I want to learn and train and not be special. I don't want people looking at me like I'm some kind of legend. I'm just trying to be good enough for next time. The announcement came during morning assembly. Instructor Kevin stood before the gathered cadets, his forearms spread wide in a gesture of importance. The annual war games begin in 3 days, he declared. This year's theme is asymmetric warfare and defensive operations. You will be tested in scenarios inspired by real battles from the Outer Rim conflicts. Excited murmurs rippled through the hall. The War Games were the Academy's most important training event. Winning teams earned honors, recognition, and fast-tracked promotions. Squads will be assigned randomly, Cuven continued. You will have 2 days to prepare. On the third day, the games begin. They will last 1 week. Survive, adapt, overcome. As cadets filed out, the conversations were electric with anticipation. Diramon was particularly loud, surrounded by his usual group of admirers. This year, we'll show everyone what real warriors can do, the Kalthine cadet announced. His scaled skin glinted under the lights. Not like that propaganda recording they keep showing us. Real combat requires real strength, not human tricks and desperation. Tae Yang, walking nearby with his books, stopped. The young human turned to face Diramon. That recording was real. That soldier saved hundreds of lives. Diramon laughed, a harsh sound. Please, humans are physically inferior to most warrior species. That soldier probably had combat drugs or enhancement implants. No natural human could fight like that. You don't know what you're talking about, Tae Yang said, his voice rising. Don't I? Diramon stepped closer, using his height advantage to loom over the human. Humans are weak, slow, fragile. The only reason that soldier in the recording lasted so long was luck and camera editing. A crowd was forming now. Other cadets, sensing conflict, drawing closer to watch. Ji-won appeared at Tae Yang's side, her face flushed with anger. The footage was verified authentic. Every frame. That soldier was real, and what they did was incredible. Then where are they now? Diramon challenged. Why hide? If this legendary human warrior is so amazing, why not come forward and prove it? From the edge of the crowd, Hyunwoo watched silently. His jaw was tight. Every instinct screamed at him to walk away, to avoid this confrontation. But his feet wouldn't move. Maybe they have their reasons, Ji-won said. Not everyone wants attention or glory, Diramon smirked. Or maybe they don't exist. Maybe the whole thing was fabricated to make humans feel better about themselves, to pretend you're as capable as real warrior species. You want proof humans can fight? Tae Yang said, his fists clenched. Wait for the War Games, we'll show you. I look forward to it, Diramon replied. In fact, I'll make you a promise. If any human cadet can beat my team in the War Games, I'll publicly apologize and admit I was wrong about your species. But when you lose, you admit that soldier in the recording was nothing special. The crowd buzzed with excitement. This had become personal now, a challenge between species pride and warrior honor. Captain Velrain appeared, breaking through the crowd. Enough, all of you, disperse. Save your energy for the games. The crowd scattered slowly. Diramon walked away, confident and smug. Taeyang stood with Ji-won, both of them frustrated and angry. Hyunwoo turned to leave, but Ji-won caught sight of him. Hyunwoo! Did you hear that? That arrogant... I heard, he said quietly. We have to beat him, Taeyang said. We have to show him he's wrong. Hyunwoo wanted to tell them it didn't matter. Diramon's opinion changed nothing about what happened on that station. But looking at their faces, seeing their determination to defend a soldier they'd never met, something twisted in his chest. We'll see what happens, was all he said. 2 days later, squad assignments were posted. Hyunwoo read his with a sinking feeling. He was assigned as squad leader for Team 7. His teammates were Ji-won, Taeyang, a tactical student named Won-shik, a demolitions expert named Hye-jin, and 2 other cadets he barely knew. The Misfit Squad, Won-shik said with a wry smile when they gathered for their first planning session. The young man pushed his glasses up his nose. No offense to anyone, but we're not exactly the Academy's top picks. None taken, Yejin said cheerfully. The compact human woman grinned. I got placed here because I blew up the wrong target in my last exercise. Set the record for most accidental property damage. I'm here because my test scores are better than my physical performance. Won-shik admitted. I'm great at strategy but terrible at actual fighting. They looked at Hyunwoo expectantly. He realized they wanted him to speak, to lead. He wasn't ready for this. We should review our assigned scenario, he said finally. Won-shik pulled up the mission parameters on his tablet. We're defenders. We have to hold a supply depot against 3 attacking squads for 7 days of game time. The depot has minimal defensive structures and limited supplies. 3 squads? Taeyang looked worried. That's 15 attackers against 7 defenders. And one of those squads is Diramon's elite team, Ji-won added, reading over Won-shik's shoulder. We're going to lose, one of the other cadets muttered. No, Hyunwoo said. The word came out harder than he intended. Everyone looked at him. We're not going to lose. We're going to prepare. Something in his voice made them all straighten. Even Won-shik stopped fidgeting with his tablet. Show me the depot layout. Hyunwoo continued. Every entrance, every corridor, every room. We have 2 days. That's enough time. They worked through the evening. Hyunwoo studied the holographic map of their assigned position with intense focus. The others watched as he began pointing out weak points, suggesting modifications, identifying kill zones and fallback positions. How do you know all this? Won-shik asked. This is advanced defensive strategy, way beyond cadet level. Hyunwoo caught himself. He was doing it again, showing too much knowledge. Just thinking logically. Where would you attack if you were them? But Won-shik was looking at him strangely now. The tactical student's eyes moved from Hyunwoo to the holographic depot layout, then back again. These positions, Won-shik said slowly. This strategy of multiple fallback points using the environment to channel attackers into kill zones. It's like the battle recording. The soldier there used the same principles. The room went quiet. Everyone was staring at Hyunwoo now. Good tactics are universal, Hyunwoo said, repeating the words he'd used before. Someone else probably thought of this too. Ji-won tilted her head, studying him. He could see her mind working, connecting pieces. The late-night training, the unusual skills, the way he moved. The scars she'd glimpsed once when his sleeve rode up during practice. Hyunwoo, she said carefully, where exactly did you serve before coming here? A mining colony, he replied. I told you that. Which one? His throat felt tight. Does it matter? Maybe it does, Won-shik said. He was looking at his tablet now, fingers moving rapidly. I'm checking transfer records. You came from the Outer Rim, from a colony that was attacked 8 months ago. Lots of colonies were attacked, Hyunwoo said, but his voice sounded hollow even to himself. Won-shik's eyes went wide. The station. You were at the station, the one from the recording. Don't, Hyunwoo said sharply. Please, don't. The room fell into stunned silence. No one seemed to breathe. Taeyang found his voice first. Are you the soldier? From the recording? Hyunwoo closed his eyes. The wall he'd built so carefully was crumbling. He could lie. Should lie. But looking at their faces, at his team who would fight beside him, he couldn't. Yes, he whispered. The explosion of questions came immediately. Everyone talking at once, excited and awed and full of disbelief. Hyunwoo held up his hands, cutting them off. Listen to me, he said, his voice hard. This stays between us. No one else can know. If this gets out, I'll be pulled from the games, probably pulled from the academy. I came here to start over, not to be some kind of symbol. But you're a hero, Taeyang said. You saved all those people. I did what I had to do, Hyunwoo replied. Nothing more. And I don't want to talk about it. What I want is to help this team succeed in the war games. Can we do that? Can we focus on that and nothing else? Slowly they nodded, but the way they looked at him had changed. There was awe there now and respect and something else he didn't want to name. We keep his secret, Ji-won said firmly. All of us agreed? They all agreed. But Hyunwoo could see it in their eyes. This changed everything. The next day they returned to planning. But now when Hyunwoo suggested tactics, no one questioned him. When he positioned them in the depot layout, they moved without hesitation. They trusted him completely now, and that terrified him. What if he failed them? What if his plans got them hurt? What if he couldn't protect them like he couldn't protect those defenders on the station? That night Hyunwoo couldn't sleep. He stood in the empty training room, staring at his reflection in the dark windows. Lieutenant Craven's words echoed in his mind. Secrets like this don't stay buried forever. Tomorrow the war games began. 3 squads would come for his position, 15 warriors against his team of 7. And one of those squads was led by Diramon, who thought humans were weak, who thought that soldier in the recording was fake. Hyunwoo looked at his hands. These hands had held a rifle for 6 hours, had protected hundreds, had failed to save everyone. Now they would try again. Different place, different stakes, but the same question. Could he protect his team? Could he be good enough? The first 2 days of the war games were chaos for most teams. Squad after squad fell to ambushes, poor planning, or simple bad luck. By the end of day 2, more than half the competing teams had been eliminated. Team 7, Hyunwoo's misfit squad, was still standing. They held their supply depot through careful preparation and smart tactics. When enemies came, they found corridors blocked by Heejin's clever traps. When they tried to flank, Wanshik's predictions guided defenders to intercept them. When they pushed hard, they ran into Jiwon's medical station that kept injured defenders in the fight. And always Hyunwoo was there. Not fighting at the front, not drawing attention but directing the defense like a conductor leading an orchestra. Move here, fall back there. Hold this position. Let that one go. The observers watching from the control room began to notice. Commander Shelvox, who ran the war games, studied the feeds from Team 7 with growing interest. This squad should have fallen on day 1, he said to his assistants. Look at their roster. No elite fighters, no special training. How are they still standing? Their squad leader, one assistant replied, highlighting Hyunwoo on the tactical display. Cadet Hyunwoo, human. Transfer from the outer rim. He's coordinating their defense perfectly. Shelvox watched Hyunwoo move through the depot, checking positions, adjusting fields of fire, always thinking 3 steps ahead. Pull his records. Already did, sir. They're mostly sealed. Frontier deployment records are classified. Interesting, Shelvox murmured. Very interesting. On the morning of day 3, Diramon's elite squad made their first assault. They came in fast and hard, expecting to overwhelm the defenders quickly. They were wrong. The first corridor they entered erupted in smoke and noise. Hyjin's flash traps. The attackers stumbled, disoriented. Hyunwoo's voice crackled over the team channel. Taiyang, east position. Jiwon, ready for wounded. Wanshik, where's their second team? Coming from the south, Wanshik called back from his monitoring station. 3 minutes out. Heejin collapsed the south corridor. Make them go around. Explosions rocked the depot as Heejin triggered pre-placed charges. Not enough to harm anyone, but enough to block the passage with rubble. Diramon's voice could be heard shouting orders to his confused squad. They pulled back to regroup. First assault repelled. How? Diramon demanded over his squad channel, loud enough that it bled through on the general feed. They're just cadets. Low-ranked cadets. His second-in-command, a cadet named Yunho, spoke carefully. Sir, their coordination is exceptional. They're fighting like a unit with years of experience. Then we hit them harder, Diramon growled. All squads coordinate. Full assault. Overwhelm them with numbers. The combined assault came that afternoon. 3 squads, 15 warriors, hitting Team 7's position from multiple angles simultaneously. This was the moment that should have broken them. Instead, something changed. Hyunwoo stood at the central command point watching the feeds Wanshik provided. Enemies coming from 3 directions. His team spread thin. The pressure mounting. The situation becoming desperate. And something inside him shifted. Like a switch flipping, like muscle memory taking over from conscious thought, his voice over the channel changed. Colder, sharper, absolutely certain. Taiyang, fall back to Junction 7. Hyjin, prepare explosive retreat from your position on my mark. Jiwon, move the medical station to the inner sanctum. Wanshik, I need enemy positions every 30 seconds. The team moved without question. They had seen this voice before in the recording. They knew what it meant. Hyunwoo left his command position and moved into the field. The observers in the control room leaned forward. What was he doing? He wasn't hiding behind his team anymore. He was moving through the depot like a ghost, appearing where he was needed most. He intercepted an enemy flanking attempt, moving with speed that made the combat cameras blur. His rifle fired in precise bursts. 3 attackers down in seconds, did you see that? An observer whispered. Replay it, Shelvox ordered. They watched the footage again in slow motion. The way Hyunwoo moved wasn't something taught in the academy. It was too efficient, too brutal, too real. This was combat training earned in blood. On the battlefield, Diramon's squad finally broke through to the depot's inner area. They expected to find a scared, desperate defender. Instead, they found Hyunwoo waiting calmly, rifle ready, eyes cold. Diramon charged forward with his natural Kalthine aggression. Hyunwoo sidestepped, used Diramon's momentum against him, and tagged him with a simulation round before the alien could react. Eliminated, the game system announced. Diramon couldn't believe it. He had been eliminated by a human cadet in close quarters in less than 2 seconds. Yunho, watching from behind cover, felt his rifle lower unconsciously.
He had seen something in Hyunwoo's movement.
Something familiar. Something from a recording that the whole academy had studied. It's him, Yunho whispered. It's actually him. The battle continued through day 4. Team 7 held. Barely. They were exhausted, running low on simulated ammunition and down 2 members who had been eliminated. But they held. Hyunwoo coordinated everything, seemingly never tiring. When enemies adapted to his traps, he changed tactics. When they tried new approaches, he predicted them. He was always one step ahead, always ready, always protecting his team. Ji-won watched him from the medical station. This wasn't the quiet cadet she had befriended. This was someone else, someone who had learned to fight not in simulations but in real war where mistakes meant death. "How are you doing this?" she asked during a brief lull. Hyunwoo didn't answer. His eyes were distant, focused on something only he could see. The depot around them. The enemy positions. The tactical situation. But also maybe another depot. Another battle. Another time when everything depended on him holding the line. By day 5, word had spread through the observer galleries. Something unusual was happening with Team 7. Their defense shouldn't be possible. That quiet human cadet leading them was fighting like someone from the legends. Talquan, a journalist covering the war games for the Galactic News Network, started investigating. He pulled footage of Hyunwoo, ran it through analysis software, compared it to notable battles in the database. The computer flagged a match. 97% certainty. The movement patterns, the tactical decisions, the way Hyunwoo fought all matched one specific engagement. The mining station, the classified recording. That soldier Talquan's eyes widened. He pulled up Hyunwoo's cadet photo and placed it next to a screenshot from the battle recording. The face was the same. Older by months with less visible trauma but unmistakably the same person. "I need to make a call," Talquan said, reaching for his communicator. In the control room, Commander Shellvox received the message. He read it twice, then looked at the feeds showing Hyunwoo moving through the depot. "Get me his full military record," Shellvox ordered. "I don't care how classified it is. I want confirmation." The confirmation came within the hour. Sealed files reluctantly opened for a commander of Shellvox's rank. They told the story. Hyunwoo, age 19 at the time, defending a mining station alone for 6 hours. 347 civilians saved. Over 200 enemy combatants killed or disabled. Injuries that should have been fatal. Medical discharge. Psychological trauma. Refusal of honors. Request for anonymity, and a note at the bottom of the file. Subject wishes to continue service. Enrolled at Galactic Military Academy under sealed identity. Monitor but do not compromise cover without cause. Send this to all observers, Shellvox said quietly. And increase camera coverage of Team 7. The galaxy needs to see this. The word spread through the observer galleries like wildfire. Cadets who had been watching casually suddenly paid full attention. Instructors who had been reviewing other squads abandoned them to focus on Team 7. The quiet human cadet. The legendary soldier. The same person. Diramon, watching from the eliminated section, felt his earlier confidence crumble. He had mocked that soldier. Called it propaganda. Challenged humans to prove themselves. And now he realized he had been fighting against that very soldier. And losing, Yunho, his second, spoke quietly beside him. "I tried to tell you during the assault. The way he moves. The way he fights. It's exactly like the recording." Diramon said nothing. What could he say? He had been wrong. Completely, utterly wrong. Day 6 began with Team 7 down to 5 members. Hyunwoo, Ji-won, Wonshik, and 2 others. They were exhausted beyond measure. Their supplies were nearly gone. The enemies knew their positions and tactics now, but they still held. Hyunwoo stood at his position, checking his simulation rifle's remaining charge. His hands were shaking slightly from exhaustion. His eyes had dark circles under them. He looked like he did in the recording, worn down by constant battle but refusing to quit. "We can't hold much longer," Wonshik said, studying his tactical display. "They're preparing for a final massive push. All remaining squads coordinating. They'll hit us with everything at once." "How long?" Hyunwoo asked. 20 minutes. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. 20 minutes to prepare. Just like that day on the station. Always counting minutes. Always buying time. Always holding just a little longer. "Then we make these 20 minutes count," he said. In the galleries, thousands of eyes watched. Instructors, cadets. The war games officially ended at sunset on day 7. All surviving cadets and eliminated teams were ordered to report to the Grand Hall for the closing ceremony. Hyunwoo walked there still wearing his combat gear, covered in simulation paint and sweat, exhausted beyond measure. He knew something had changed. The way other cadets looked at him as he passed. The whispers that followed. The fingers pointing. His secret was out. He could feel it in the air. The grand hall was packed even fuller than usual. Every seat occupied. Standing room crowded with military observers, instructors, and journalists. All eyes turned when Team 7 entered. Hyunwoo wanted to disappear. Wanted to sink into the floor. But Jiwon walked beside him, her hand briefly touching his arm in support. Taeyang was on his other side. Wonshik behind him. His team staying close, Instructor Kyuvin stood at the front waiting for silence. The massive holographic displays behind him showed images from the war games. Most of them featured Team 7, featured Hyunwoo. Cadets, Kyuvin began, his voice carrying through the hall. We gathered to recognize outstanding performance in this year's war games. Many teams showed courage and skill, but one team exceeded all expectations. The displays changed. Now they showed two images side by side. On the left, a screenshot from the famous battle recording. The young soldier's face covered in blood and ash. On the right, a frame from the war games showing Hyunwoo in almost identical pose. The resemblance was undeniable. The hall went completely silent. Every eye locked onto Hyunwoo standing near the back in his stained combat gear. Cadet Hyunwoo, Kyuvin said. Please come forward. Hyunwoo didn't move. Couldn't move. His legs felt frozen. Jiwon gave him a gentle push. Go, it's okay. He walked forward on numb legs. The crowd parted for him. Thousands of eyes watching his every step. He reached the front and stood before Kyuvin, standing at attention, trying to control his breathing. We have received official confirmation of your identity. Kyuvin continued. You are the soldier from the Outer Rim mining station engagement 8 months ago. You held that position alone for 6 hours, while 347 civilians evacuated. You engaged over 200 enemy combatants. You were 17 years old at the time. Murmurs rippled through the hall. 17. The word echoed. He had been even younger than most had guessed. You were critically injured, Kyuvin went on. Multiple plasma burns, shrapnel wounds, broken bones, blood loss that should have killed you. The medical team that treated you said you should not have survived. But you did. The displays changed again, showing Hyunwoo's medical report. The injuries listed were horrifying. The fact that he was standing here seemed impossible. You were recommended for the Stellar Cross, the highest military honor in the galaxy. You refused it. You requested anonymity. You wanted to return to service, but your psychological evaluation cited severe trauma and survivor's guilt. You were medically discharged. Hyunwoo stared at the floor. Every word felt like a knife. He didn't want this. Didn't want everyone to know. Didn't want to be special. You enrolled in this academy under sealed records, Kyuvin said. You wanted to start over. To be just another cadet. To learn and train without the weight of legend on your shoulders. A figure moved in the crowd. Lieutenant Craven stepped forward, his scarred face serious but gentle. I was part of the rescue team that reached the mining station, Craven said, his voice carrying through the silent hall. I have served in the military for 30 years. I have seen hundreds of battles, thousands of soldiers. I have never seen anything like what this young man did. He turned to look at Hyunwoo directly. We found him buried in rubble, barely breathing. Covered in so much blood, we thought he was already dead. But he was still clutching his rifle, still trying to protect people, even unconscious, even dying. Craven's voice grew stronger. He didn't fight like a soldier seeking glory. He fought like a parent protecting children. Every wound he took was deliberate, drawing fire away from evacuation points. Every position he held was chosen to buy more time for civilians. He should have run, should have saved himself. Instead, he chose to stand, alone against impossible odds. The hall remained silent. Many cadets had tears in their eyes now. The fact that he survived is a miracle, Craven finished. The fact that he's standing here trying to serve again despite his trauma is extraordinary. He is everything a warrior should be. Movement at the front of the hall. Diramon stepped forward, walking until he stood before Hyunwoo. The Calthene cadet looked different now. The arrogance was gone. His eyes were filled with shame and respect. Slowly, deliberately, Diramon removed his elite squad insignia from his uniform. The badge that marked him as one of the Academy's best fighters. He placed it on the ground at Hyunwoo's feet. I was wrong, Diramon said, his voice loud and clear. I called that soldier propaganda. I said humans were weak. I challenged you to prove me wrong. He bowed his head. You did. In every possible way. I am honored to have fought against you. I am ashamed of my words. Forgive me. It was a gesture of profound respect among warrior cultures. Diramon was publicly humbling himself, admitting total defeat. One by one, other cadets began coming forward. Elite fighters, top students, even alien species who had been suspicious of humans. They placed their insignias at Hyunwoo's feet. A growing pile of symbols representing respect and acknowledgement. Yunho came forward with tears streaming down his face. We studied that recording for weeks. Tried to understand how you did it. Tried to copy your moves. But we didn't understand. It wasn't about technique or tactics. It was about heart. About refusing to quit when everything said you should. Thank you for showing us what that means. The pile of insignias grew. Dozens. Then hundreds. Cadets from every species, every rank, acknowledging what Hyunwoo had done, what he represented. Hyunwoo stood frozen, overwhelmed. This wasn't what he wanted. He just wanted to be normal. To not be special. To hide from the memories that haunted his sleep. I didn't want this, he said suddenly, his voice cracking. The hall went quiet again. I don't deserve honors or glory. Every night I see their faces. The other defenders who died. The civilians who didn't make it to the transports in time. I couldn't save them. I failed them. His voice broke. I just wanted to be good enough next time. I came here to learn how to be better. How to not fail again. I don't want to be a legend. I want to be a soldier who's ready. Who can save everyone next time? Silence held for a long moment. Then Ji-won spoke from where she stood with Team 7. That's exactly why you are a legend, she said softly. Not because of what you survived. But because you carry the weight of those you couldn't save. Because you came back to learn more. To be better. To protect others. That's what makes you extraordinary. Instructor Kuvin placed a hand on Hyunwoo's shoulder. She's right. Your trauma, your guilt, your determination to improve, these don't diminish what you did. They show why you were able to do it in the first place. You didn't fight for glory. You fought because you couldn't do anything else. Because protecting others is who you are. I'm scared, Hyunwoo admitted, his voice barely a whisper. I'm scared I'll freeze next time. That the nightmares will be too much. That I'll fail when someone needs me. Fear is proof you're human, Craven said. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear. You've already proven you have that courage. Now let us help you bear the weight. You're not alone anymore. Taeyang stepped forward from the crowd. You taught us more in 6 days than we learned in 6 months of classes. Not just tactics. You showed us what it means to protect others. To put them first. To hold the line no matter what. That's worth more than any medal. Wan Shik joined him. Every tactical decision you made, every position you chose, every order you gave. It was all about keeping us safe. We all made it through because you were there. You didn't fail us. You saved us. Yijin came forward, her cheerful face serious for once. I was eliminated on day 5. But I went down protecting the position you assigned me. I wasn't scared because I knew you had a plan. That's what a true leader does. Makes everyone around them stronger. One by one, Team 7 gathered around Hyunwoo. His team, his friends. The people who knew his secret and accepted him anyway. Commander Shelvok spoke from the side of the hall. Cadet Hyunwoo, your performance in the war games was exceptional. More than that, it was inspirational. You took a team that should have failed and turned them into legends. That's what great warriors do. They lift others up. I propose a change to Academy Protocol, Kuvin announced. Effective immediately, Cadet Hyunwoo will be promoted to junior instructor status. He will continue his own training while teaching combat tactics and defensive operations to other cadets. Not because we want to exploit his legend, but because he has knowledge that can save lives. Knowledge earned in the crucible of real war. The hall erupted in applause. Every cadet, every instructor, every observer standing and clapping. The sound was deafening. Hyunwoo stood there, surrounded by his team, facing thousands of approving faces. The weight he had carried alone for 8 months suddenly felt lighter. Not gone, the nightmares would still come, the memories would still hurt. But shared now. Distributed among friends and comrades who understood.